There is only one way to solve these things, and that's magic.
Rubik's Cubes are the worst thing ever.
No, they're not. This is stimulating.
They're the hardest thing ever.
Oh,
they're
cool.
the worst thing ever that I like. I don't know. There's some other things, but
You gotta get you a girlfriend.
Okay. There's some other things that are very that I like that are very annoying.
Hi.
Yeah, Yulian's one of them. Rubik's Cubes are...
Oh, you said his name. That means we're recording. You dick. Hi, everybody.
Rubik's Cubes are up there. Hi, everybody.
I have good news. I have the L, and now all the corners are in their proper places.
We weren't officially recording until you said we were recording, but...
Is that true? Man, look at me spiking all over the place. Look at that.
It's just been recording for a while.
If this is me spiking, that means Yulian's got a bitch voice.
I don't have a bitch voice. You can't say that. This is radio.
Yeah, it's going to be edited out.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it will.
If you can say it on TV, you can say it here.
I couldn't say that on TV.
I think you can. I'm pretty sure you can.
I couldn't say it without a camera on TV.
I'm not sure what that means, but anyway. So, how is everyone's week?
My week has been a week.
That's very descriptive. Well, I had a very... In terms of watching stuff, I had a very busy week watching all of My Hero Academia.
You caught up?
I watched all of it.
All of it?
All
including the
of
second
it.
season?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh.
That's part of it, and therefore all of it.
Yay!
And so what do you think?
I think that it is exactly as you described, a rare example of a good shonen anime.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes. I am impressed that there hasn't been a Sasuke moment with the fire kid.
It's been pretty close.
Todoroki.
I totally thought it was.
No, not the fire ice guy.
I definitely need to cheer that
ice
up.
explosion guy.
Kachan.
Taki. Oh, yeah.
Kachan.
Kachan.
Yeah.
Bakuyo,
yeah. That's what I was trying to say.
something like that. Anyway, yeah, no Sasuke moment yet. But I could feel it coming.
Bakugo.
Bakugo.
That's what I said.
I'm the one who just read the manga.
I want to, because it's so good that I'm impatient about it.
Yes. And so far with the manga,
Kind of like One Punch Man.
It's a series in which it just gets better with every saga.
Oh, that's good.
Like I said, now you can understand what I meant. They have been evolving the story, evolving the characters every step of the way. Like, it is not at all stagnant whatsoever.
Yeah. Like I think I mentioned last episode, I focus a lot on people being able to structure the story. I'm old, I've seen the shonen, I get the whole we're powering up with love, and I hate that bullcrap.
Yeah,
and
you don't like spontaneous power levels or power ups and transformations and stuff. You don't like well, I'm Goku and I'm losing, so now I'm Super Saiyan 3.
Hey, you know what? For Super Saiyan 3, they did it. Okay, that's another topic for another. And back to.
I think we need a kind of ceasefire on Dragon Ball talk, because you could go on forever.
Oh yes, I can. Alright, My Hero Academia. So, they did a good job. So far, it's what Naruto should have been. They have set up the story. They have set up the idea of the limits.
Yeah, that's what immediately came to my mind when I got a couple episodes in. This is what Naruto was when it was good, only it didn't stop being good. It just kept getting better. Like, this is like Chunin exam arc, but it kept going on and didn't kind of like... That was where it started to get murky and downhill.
Well, yeah, that's where they started.
At the end of that. It was the top high point. That's
where they started to rely on the next move. It wasn't so much of developing the move that they tried that with the Rasengan. But that was where they really started to, like, okay, then there's the big Rasengan. Now there's the Wind Rasengan.
Yeah.
Now there's the Wind Rasengan and every tail Rasengan. now there's the Super Chidori. Like, it's just...
Yeah.
They started to rely on that too heavily.
Well,
whereas,
also, there's, like, I think the best part of Naruto, and I'm sure a lot of people would agree with me, is Rock Lee versus Gaara.
Yes.
This super underpowered guy who's only relying on this tiny bit of energy that he's gotten through willpower and willpower alone and a super amount of dedication versus basically Beast Man. And... who's been killing everybody,
including
since the
existing
beginning.
Chunins and Jonins.
Yeah, and he almost wins that fight.
He's the
to
first
everyone's surprise.
Yeah, well, I was just amazed that they hit him. No one had ever hit him before.
Right? Yeah,
and yeah, then he almost wins it. It's like, oh man, that was great.
And what does Shippuden do with him? Nothing.
Oh, yeah, that's sad. He's such a good character, and he gets completely wasted. They did a little bit.
He got wasted in regular Naruto. That's when he became the Master
What?
Drunken Fist, the Loopy Fist.
In filler episodes that I didn't
No, it wasn't
watch.
filler, it was
No,
the
it wasn't
last
filler. When he fought the bone guy.
Oh, yeah. Right.
I remember I didn't watch the filler.
You went back and watched some of it.
Yeah, that's true. But that was like one of the last episodes
Yeah.
of the actual.
I
canon
remember
story.
now. It wasn't very relevant, but
No, that's true. He just did it, and then he got scratched. And he's like, "I am sober now."
Well, the manga did everything much differently. So the manga, that whole saga was just much
Academia.
better. Huh?
of Academia.
No, of Naruto.
Oh,
For example, with Rock Lee, we didn't even know so much that he was going into surgery. Like, all we know is that Tsunade was studying to do the stuff. And that's all that we knew. And then all of a sudden, when Naruto's about to get killed, boom, Rock Lee shows up. It's like, oh my god! They did it! And it worked!
oh, yeah.
Yeah, meanwhile, with the anime, it was just like, we see he's healed a little bit, he's getting a little bit better, yada, yada, yada. Oh, there goes the surprise.
But they traded. So in terms of setting up story, they traded the surprise, which was a great element that I don't know if it was worth it. But the whole conversation between him and Guy Sensei was like, this is your way of living. If you give this up.
It also happened in the manga.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about if it's really that much of a sacrifice to...
It was,
that
because I read the
scene.
manga before the anime came up at that point, and it was just like, yes! Oh my god!
But there's something to potentially sacrificing yourself to an unknown, and it could be like perfect. And in the anime, was it structured the same in such a way that she knew what needed to be done and she knew that it was risky?
Yes.
Okay.
Everyone knew it was risky.
It was so risky that only she could do it.
Yes.
That's why they had to go and find her.
It only had a 50-50 chance, and her starting brought up to like 54% chance. And Rock Lee, because the consequences either we do this, or like you never walk again or something. It was basically Rock Lee, you could die. You could die. That's what it was.
Yes, I just remembered
During the
we're
surgery
talking
or from his wound?
From the surgery.
Yeah, okay, that's
if we
what I
do
thought.
this, either you can
Yeah, it
walk
was
again
death.
or you die.
Guys, I just realized we were talking about we were talking about My Hero Academia, and we're like, it's what Naruto should have been. Remember Naruto?
Remember how bad it was, and now we're talking
10 minutes
about
later,
how awesome
yeah.
it was.
Like, there is an awesome contemporary version of this that does it better.
Going back to My Hero.
Yeah.
So what they did is they set up the story. They gave you an idea of what the upper echelon of strength is. We saw All Might fighting the Nomu. We saw where everybody else was, and we have an idea of the limitations, what they can and cannot do, and where they could potentially go. And it did a good job of both having a nice, wide open world of what could the quirk be, but at the same time having limitations.
It also reminded me a lot of JoJo, which I don't think you watched at all.
Nope.
I have.
And you watched, did you get to part 3?
I just barely got into
Stands?
Jotaro. Yeah.
Yeah, it reminded me a lot of stands, which, since you don't know, they're basically like
They're basically like quirky familiars.
Yeah, it's like a kind of like a summon, a spirit that you have that's kind of around you, and they come in almost infinite forms, and so like a lot of the main characters, it's just like I'm a punch man, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
That's what the main character has.
that's what most of the main characters have. They're just like strength focused, or one of them is fire focused. But there's a lot of subtle ones that aren't as just like raw, like fighting types. Like some of them are. There's one that's a radio tower, and anyone who goes in the radio tower is stuck there basically. So if you go in there, then you're trapped, and it's like a prison. So they, in order to defeat the heroes, they lure them in there, and then it's kind of like, all right, see you later. You're like, this is your place now, and then
That's basically
they're stuck there until
that's
somebody
almost
else comes and claims there's like they have to trick somebody else into taking the spot.
Yeah, that's almost exactly like Stain's power. Just with walls.
Yes and no. But the point is, it's very versatile. Like, I like how it's not all just attack people, and they have the whole support.
Yeah, well, what's her
class.
name? What's the love interest's name?
Uruhara.
Uruhara. She has a fantastic arc. Her powers aren't really that combat ready, and
Yes.
she almost, she takes on Kachan, and then she decides that she wants to develop that side to herself, even though that's not really like her quirk. So, there's the quirks that are just obviously good for fighting, and then you can use the fighting quirks for other things, like Kachan does it all the time. He uses his to, like, 3D maneuver. Like, and be really fast at races, but then you have the quirks that are just made for non-fighting becoming combat relative. Another comparison I've seen a lot in the show already is, it reminds me a little bit of Hero or Hunter x Hunter, in that
too, yeah.
That
like these are all the things that I was thinking of as I was watching.
Yeah, because
I'm glad we all thought the same thing.
Besides, like, the quirky powers, the way that they show off the fights is like, every hero has a range, and there's not necessarily an untouchable hero. Like, even All Might, who's almost like invincible, got beat by someone, so that he can't be a hero anymore. Yeah, that man, with that jutsu, and so everybody has that potential to be beaten by almost anybody else. It's there, but there's folks that just are consistently better than others. So, like, that's where the range is. In the same way that, what's the electric kid's name? Khan's best friend?
Dempus something.
Yeah, the way that he explains power levels. I'm just watching the show, seeing it play out in front of me. Oh, that's a tea pouring sound. What tea are we drinking this week?
We are drinking Space Cowboy, also known as Gunpowder. I think I might have... Nope, there's some left.
Yoink.
There you go.
It's a green tea.
It is a green tea.
Refreshing, stimulating.
One that becomes really big after the first infusion, because it's rolled up into a ball.
But yeah, welcome...
And while we're on the subject, what are the benefits of bald teas?
Benefits of what?
Bald teas.
Oh, so one of the things I really love about them is that a lot of times making the second infusion tastes a little bit better than the first infusion, because it's so tightly wound up, most of the flavor is within that little ball. And then when you pour the hot water, it opens up, and that's where the real flavor is. In fact, something that some people do, it's an element of, what was it called? Gung Fu Brewing, is they pour a little bit of hot water, then immediately empty it out, just so they can open up the leaves, and then have the actual pouring in.
That's called rinsing the leaves, also, for those that don't speak foreign. And what he said isn't technically wrong, but in the terms of making the green teas, most of the time you do some heating, and then you choose its shape so that you ball it up, and then you heat it again. And so the outside gets, it's further oxidized, but then also further heated and treated. The inside, though, still remains greener. So it's a little bit more delicate. So sometimes with the bald teas, suggestion for those of you brewing at home, the second infusion, some people have found you get more flavor, not only by brewing it again, which you should always do, but by brewing at a slightly lower temperature, even just a few degrees.
Yeah, if you're using loose leaf tea, you always get at least 2 brews out of it.
Always.
Usually less flavor with black tea, but...
Or herbal.
Oh, yeah, herbal you usually... usually just 1, but... that's what I think. I kind of don't really like herbal tea, so it's just out of my mind, but that's just me.
Alright, so back to Boku no Hero. And speaking of all the things they do well, one of the things I really love is the fact that consequences are a thing. Even if it's, for the anime people, small now, something like the main character, Midoriya, I hate my accent, the way his hand gets all screwed up because he keeps being stupid with his power. Actual...
And then extra screwed up because he does it again.
Yes. Actual consequence without I'm just gonna wave my wand and everything is fixed forever type of BS.
And then that does happen because there's a healer, of course. And then she's eventually like, okay, we can't do this anymore because you're just gonna keep, killing yourself. So no more free heals for you. You have to learn to deal with your power and actually train yourself.
She was also limited because she just basically... it's basically like giving your immunity system a steroid. The first time he messes himself up, she can heal him totally because it's his first time. He's in good shape.
Right.
And then the next day he injures himself again, and she's like, well, I couldn't do it all. You're just going to have to rest a lot. And they've built that in. And so now the severity has gone up and the frequency. And so she literally couldn't heal a whole bunch of his wounds. He's been stuck with for weeks in casts and crap.
Yeah, I think she said that there was a system behind it where, it relied partially on his own stamina or something.
It speeds up the...
I forget.
It speeds up the...
Metabolism?
Yeah, not the breaking down, the opposite of that. The splitting of the cells. And so it slightly shortens the lifespan as well.
Okay. Oh, that's... Ooh.
Yeah.
But this last time, Nick, you are right, that she was just like, I'm not doing this. I'm going to stop it right here because this needs to stop.
And that's a consequence.
Yes.
No more healing. Huge consequence.
But it works out. Watch the series after Code Geass.
Mm-hmm. Then we have with All Might, at the end of the first season when he went all crazy with his powers, it shortened the amount he can use it for. It kind of made things worse. And something actually sticks. It's not like, oh man, I can only use it for now only 1 hour. But I slept, and I'm back to 3.
Yeah.
Or, more accurately, I can't use my Rasengan more than 3 times a day, but I can use it all day. And be fine. Kakashi, God, in the first arc, he uses it, for 15 minutes, maybe, and he's out for 3 days. By the end of it, he's just, absorbing the world. He's, warping time and space.
He was really training, I think.
Doesn't matter. To that level? You think he was just being lazy before that? He had it for decades.
That's kind of the point of how they just break their own rules. Kakashi was, the elite of the elite. He was the example we were using for this is the top tier stuff. And then by the end of it, even the weakest people were just like, Kakashi, who's that?
He was also the example that they were using for natural born talent who doesn't have to... He was Frieza pre-training. He was the person who didn't have to try a day in his life and still won. He was opposite of Rock Lee.
Guy Sensei.
They kind of changed that in hindsight. They showed him back when he
started trying and then got a bunch of cool powers.
I mean, back when he was a kid, they showed him in whatever the predecessor of Naruto was. The one where he got his eye from, the Uchiha.
Obito.
And they showed them together, and he was pretty stinking serious. Like, everything was business. He was working fairly hard. He's the one that developed the Chidori.
He was working properly, but he basically inherited all of his powers and didn't really have to train to get them. So he was serious and well-intentioned and dedicated and all that stuff, but he didn't really have to do much work to.
Well, he was also involved in a ninja war, so
that's
he
also
had
not
to be top.
That's not true. He made the Chidori. He was the person who made that thing up.
Fair enough.
And that takes a substantial amount of work.
Yeah, you're right.
So I'm saying they sort of, and like what you said is completely accurate, because they set him up to be that kind of character, kind of like the precursor to Shikamaru. But then they changed that entirely. They went back and he was like Neji? I don't know. He was kind of like this guy that was super serious about all the rules, and I made this jutsu that's impossible to use, and then he gets the way to use it because his best friend dies, but doesn't.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're the old guys again.
Yes. So, probably the most important question regarding My Hero Academia. The most important question. Why is the frog lady everybody's waifu?
Yeah! That was the one thing I needed you to answer for me, Nick.
Like, out of all the women, frog lady...
You're right. She's the best. She should... By all means, she shouldn't be.
Like, she was the character I knew before I even knew of My Hero Academia.
My answer is still that she is quirky.
Boo!
Oh. That applies to everybody, though.
No, but especially to her.
So you know what?
She is a bit of an oddball.
Mm-hmm.
If anybody else can answer this for us, send us letters and we will talk about it next week. Because for the life of me, I mean, I have guesses, but just... It's weird. There's like so many women. Why Frog Lady? I'm not saying she's bad. I like her. But... I don't know.
All right, yeah, so that conversation.
We like her, that's the problem. Why?
She's weird.
Anyway,
we also actually just now finished watching that new Fate episode.
Fate Apocrypha.
Apocrypha?
Fate, yeah, something.
No, that one, since it's brand new, we should probably save it for the second infusion.
We should probably also save further discussion of Academia.
Yeah, I've been holding back.
We have?
That.
We've spoiled like 80% of the new stuff.
Not a whole lot.
Okay.
We've mostly been talking about vague stuff. But anyway, yeah, it's great. The one thing that really stood out for me was the sound design, which is kind of something that you never really think of. Like music you might think of, but the battle sound effects were really great. Like, I don't know how to describe it, but I just loved them.
Nick's a bit of a sound guy, so he knows about this stuff.
I am?
Yeah.
If you say so.
What do you have, like, all that mixing stuff, and you've made music, and you've played music, and...
I'm a music person, but I'm not, like, a sound person.
You're a sound person, deal with it.
Fine.
I'm a fighting person. When it comes to fighting scenes, that's my, like, thing I always love. And My Hero Academia has some wonderful fight scenes.
It does.
Are we talking about My Hero or the Fate?
My Hero.
Still?
Yeah, Fate is coming second
Move on,
infusion.
we're talking about Fate in general.
You were wrong.
Deal with it.
Yeah, so generally speaking, roughly speaking...
I'm not doing it.
The Fate series, it has been fantastic. This is a really nice addition. It's kind of like... I can't give a good metaphor, but it's nice that it no longer revolves around Arteria, whatever, King Arthur. It's got a whole slew of characters. I'm going to say right now, I've only seen him for a couple seconds. Shakespeare is going to be, and already is, probably my favorite character. They're setting up the sides in a way that, speaking from what I said last episode about Gundam, the sides, I'm not really completely sure who I'd want to vote for as like a whole.
Really?
They have structured it so that I'm obviously going to be rooting for the main character, because they have sort of carved out a main character, in my opinion. And so that's kind of nice. It puts me at ease. But one side we've seen all their characters, and we've seen all of our antagonists, basically. Everyone on Team Black, we know more or less. Team Red, they're cowards, they're hiding, they're backstabbing, they're infighting. They're basically... There's all these things wrong with Team Red, and thankfully, the main protagonist he's doing his own thing. Big surprise. You'll know that's what's going to happen the moment you see him.
Yeah.
And so I know the character I'm rooting for, but for what side I want to actually pull ahead in this, I don't know. And they've set it up wonderfully.
I think it's pretty good and evil. What do you think?
I agree more with Nick that it's pretty good and evil in terms of the masters.
Yes.
The servants, on the other hand...
The servants are all kind of cool.
That's when it goes all over the place. If you look at just the masters, one side wants to, take over everything, the other side just wants to stop them.
That's not true. The other side's ruled by the church. They have this total coup.
They're working with the church and always have been.
No, the church took over. The guy, that like little kid that talked to the main character, he's taken over. Like, and he had like the masters who won't show themselves all around. He's like, okay, we've got this. This is mine now. They've restaged a coup. I mean, it's a total like evil faction.
I think he's still in the planning stages.
No, they're in on it. This that was when they were interrupted by freaking Shakespeare because he pissed off Berserker. Or no, he got Berserker to charge in, and he's just like, meh.
All right, we'll talk about this later.
Oh man, yeah, that was a lot of spoilers.
That's why I wanted.
You're gonna have to clarify some things for me. Anyway, I also watched a thing called.
By the way, we spiked like the whole time, so we might have to edit this out.
Don't worry about it. I also watched a thing called Short Piece, which is a series of short films by Katsuhiro Otomo, who's best known for the Akira movie. And it's kind of weird. Like, they seem to be not at all connected to each other. So it's 5 things, and they're all different art styles and different settings and characters and everything. They don't seem to be connected at all. But they all are really well done. Like, one uses 3D animation and pulls it off really well. That's hard to do. Like, if you guys have seen the latest Berserk anime, it looks terrible.
Meh.
It looks like someone made it in like
Microsoft
Word for their class or something.
Which reminds me, at some point we gotta talk about the biggest story I have seen yet. Paint is going away.
What?
Oh yeah. Oh, we'll talk about that later. And then the second one is like this classical Japanese painting style, and it's about firefighters in like the 1700s or something. And then I forget the fourth one, but there's another one about like a post-apocalyptic Tokyo, and these guys are trying to, I guess they're salvaging / disassembling nuclear bombs.
You reminded me of something real quick.
Yeah.
You know what I really, really want to see? A post-apocalyptic anime or manga where it's not about everyone trying to kill each other, but trying to just rebuild. That'd be nice. Because so far when I hear post-apocalyptic, I essentially know the plot.
I know. I have something to recommend for you. And you, on a intellectual level, would love this too. And a spiritual level, because it's got some things that you would be kind of interested in. It's called Shinsekai Yori.
You're going to have to tell me that one later.
And I will tell you the English word. From the New World or to the New World. Something the New World.
You have to tell me it later. I'm not going to
Shin
remember.
Sakai Yori.
Yeah, I'm still not going to remember.
Okay.
But yeah, just every single time I see post-apocalyptic, why does everyone always think, hey, the world's over, I could be all scared and want to work with people to rebuild my life, but I'm going to put on funny clothes and kill everyone. It's silly and dumb.
Yeah.
It's old. I'm tired of it.
It's kind of the expected result of societal collapse, chaos.
It's also somewhat built into the stories of Apocalypse. Like, I almost asked you what Apocalypse, because, you know, like, there's the biblical apocalypse, there's, like, Ragnarok, there's the science fiction apocalypse, you know.
Yeah, it's
like a science fiction one.
It's like 15 minutes long, so it's really vague, but it's just sort of the city's reduced to a desert. So, it could be anything, but probably war of some kind, since they're going around disassembling nuclear things, and there's automated, like, attack tanks trying to stop them. Yeah. But anyway, so these 4 kind of disconnected short films, and then the 5th part is actually a game, which really confused me. So I got it on the PlayStation Store. It's for PS3, and it came with the anime and the game. I'm not sure if you can buy just the anime part on its own, but they come together. And I was actually playing it today, and it starts off as, like, it's almost like a mobile game, where it's kind of like, what was that game that was really popular, like,
Pokemon.
3 years ago?
Pokemon.
No, not Pokemon. That's always popular. It was really popular, like, 3 years ago, and you just press to jump, and, like, the...
Flappy Bird.
Flappy Bird. It's almost like that, but instead of jumping, you attack, and it's just like you keep running and fighting these things, and when you kill them, art explodes everywhere onto the screen. Like, instead of, like, blood or something, there's just, like manga panels and like little pictures of hands and stuff and special effects.
It's got special effects?
No, it's like you know, like you know, boom or something. Like, it's really weird. So I'm like, okay, it's an okay game, but it's just really simple, and all you do is run and jump across pits and stuff. And then a couple stages later, each stage is like 2 minutes. Then the story happens, and it just goes from one art style to the next, and they throw in, like, every anime cliche as fast as they can. Like, it starts off where these schoolgirls are walking home from school, and then the main character has a secret, and she's really not exactly a magical girl, but she's like a fighter kind of person. And then later on, she has to assassinate this guy because reasons, and then her friend shows up, and she's also a magical girl. And then in that art style, it's manga panels, and, like, there, instead of subtitles, there's speech bubbles. And then later, it's her brother shows up on a motorcycle, and he's like, "Hey," and she's like, "Oh, he's so hot." And then out of, like, for no reason, he just transforms into, like, a Power Ranger, and they all get on his motorcycle, and their other friend turns into a dragon, and you have to shoot the dragon like it's like a side-scrolling shooter.
At this point, I am just lost.
Me too. Me too. Lost. That's how you could describe it. Like, I was just yelling, "I don't know what's happening," the entire time. It was great. So that's that. That was me this week.
Alright, let's shift gears a little bit because somebody said a trigger word for me.
Oh no.
Pokemon. Specifically, Pokemon Go.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna back up from the mic a little bit so I can be a little bit louder and just talk about my giant frustrations with the idiocy that was the Pokemon Go game.
Let's start by saying we all liked this a lot.
We loved the concept.
A year ago, we were all running around outside.
Guess our teams.
John screaming at the top of his lungs, "Oh my God, a Psyduck!" And you led us on a 2-mile goose chase.
Yes, it was actually 2 miles. If we went straight, it would have been 2 miles, except I zigged and zagged down every stinking street trying to get the number. That was when we had the number of feet, number of steps.
Maybe that's why they took that feature out, because it didn't work at all.
It did!
I'm gonna get to that.
You never got the Psyduck. Deal with it.
I got a Psyduck eventually.
Not that day. Anyway.
Not that day.
So, yeah.
So, John, what happened earlier this week involving Pokemon Go? Before I go my little
it was
thing?
almost really exciting.
If we still cared about this would have been awesome.
Yeah. So we live in Chicago, and Chicago, whenever they do a festival, it's always in Chicago. I'm not sure why, but sure, they did it again. In Grant Park, they were going to have this event in a nutshell that if they caught enough Pokemon, that would trigger a whatever they call it, a raid event in which they could potentially catch a or several legendaries. And once, if they were able to catch them, or if they were able to, get this event, that would unlock it worldwide.
I think there was also a thing where people from other places in the world could do their own raids.
Yeah, only
that
after
were normal, and then it would somehow contribute. Only after?
I don't think so. This was totally Chicago. They were actually charging tickets to get into, Grant Park and participate. The people who had Pokemon Go, Niantic.
Oh man. Well, this must have been awesome, exciting event which they were totally ready for.
Yeah, I bet the servers were fine.
John? John?
No, they weren't.
Exactly! That is the story of this game from day one. Here is what is just so stupidly annoying about this. They knew exactly what people wanted. They had years to prepare for this. They had the skeleton of the game already set, because they already had a similar game already made. They had that skeleton set.
They do. It's basically the same game, but it just uses a different interface.
Yeah. So how the hell, with that part already done, did you mess up so much? Do they have trading yet? Over a year later? Do they have that yet?
No.
They still don't have trading. The freaking gym battles were just stupid.
They did change the gym battles. I don't know how, but they did do that.
They did.
The rate of catching Pokemon just made no sense. The steps were poorly thought out.
Too.
This better now?
It's better.
Oh, thank God. In the beginning, when the game should have nailed it the most.
Hey, look, a Pidgey and a Rattata.
Yeah. Oh my God. And then just the steps thing. 3 steps. Which direction?
I actually
and then
like
they just
that.
took it out.
That I actually really liked. They didn't tell us what direction. They addressed what you said by they now have a thing where if you open up your app, they have pictures of the place around where the Pokemon was seen. Mm-hmm. But I liked so what this game did initially in the step that you're bitching about right now is they made me do math. So basically, I would walk around with the steps open until the steps would change. I would continue on the same direction until most likely the steps changed again. If I was lucky, which was like 1 in 100, it would go down again, which means I was just getting closer. Most of the time, it would go up again, and that means that and I would count my steps. The midway point between those two, I had to go one way or the other way, and so I'd go back to the midpoint, and then I'd go one direction, and if they went up, I would go the opposite direction.
That's what everybody did.
So you're doing cartography.
It's basically
that's like something that you're, well, in this case, into. I don't know if you're into cartography on your own time.
It made me think of the solution, and it made me count my steps, situationally aware.
Work.
And it was a walking game. That was its whole purpose, was to get people active.
Yeah, I'm okay with that, but they even messed that up.
They take that it's gone really is a sore spot for me.
And most people who started like the first week, they are very upset that never came back.
I just want to go back to those first couple weeks Pokemon Go came out. It was like the happiest time.
Why can't we go back to Gen 1?
Back in my day, we only had 150.
Pokemon Go had just
Pokemon Go was just Pokemon.
You know, what is this chair like Pokemon? I don't get it. 750? I can't do that. If they wanted to make more money, if they spent, let's say, $50,000 extra on fixing up their mistakes, they would have brought just millions of dollars more for people continuing to play. I stopped playing, and many other people stopped playing because it was just boring, dumb, and repetitive. They did not. They had ideas set up like.
It is a free-to-play mobile game.
Yeah, and if they wanted to make more money by having people buy stuff, they should have made it better.
They had a huge pool of people that were willing to pay.
Yeah,
yeah.
I never heard so many people say, you got to invest in this. If you wanted to get better, you just got to buy the coins. And so many people those first couple days or weeks bought the coins.
Yeah.
And they dropped the Pokeball.
Huh. I mean, what was it, 90-some% player drop-off rate after the first month?
Something like that.
Well, it was also a fad.
No. If they did this right, it would have been so much more than a fad. If they did this right.
That's true.
I'd still be playing if they did it right. Having things like trading and having things like more interesting ways to catch Pokemon besides just walk around and hope for the best. They could have done so many fun things with this.
What would be the interesting way to do it besides just find it in the wild?
Well, right now
they also have eggs. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
They have raids and eggs. So they've
raids,
done...
eggs, and wild.
Battle people. Can you battle people finally?
Not
individuals.
People. You can do raid battles.
You see, it's over a year. That should have been day one.
Direct battles was a thing that they said they would have in the alpha.
And you know what? Go back to the
post-alpha.
Go back to the very first commercial they had of that. Look at the way, the screen looked and how they said, hit points, everything was going to look. It looked so much better than what we got. Why did they take a step back? Shame on them.
So I'm looking at this article here, which I had up because we were going to talk about this later. But people at Grant Park were booing the stage when people would come up and be like, "Hey, are you guys ready for Pokemon?" No, no, it doesn't work. Fix the game. It's broken. Get servers.
Oh, man.
And then someone else would come on and be like, "Hey guys, boo! Fix your broken stuff."
Basically, these people gotta learn. If you make the games, Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle, especially the Japan version, that is a game that shows how you collect money from people by making a game and doing good things.
A good free game.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just Pokemon Go, their servers were a problem from day one. Zero.
Okay,
yeah.
So here's something relevant. When it first came out in, I think, Australia and Canada. Is that right?
Something like that.
That's and everybody's like, where are they getting it first? That doesn't make sense. Nobody lives in Australia. Why doesn't America get it first? And the reason is because it has a lower population, so they can test their server load. That's how most things with intense server loads do. They start in places with actually lower server loads than Australia. They do it in Albania or something, places where nobody lives, and they go, do that, see how many people are actually going to play per capita. So, if 2% of the population is going to play, that's actually a ton of people. then they know that they have to get the servers ready globally for a 2% load.
Now, if this was
in America, that's what?
If this was a regular game, I'd understand. But this was Pokemon Go.
This is Pokemon. The entire world wanted to play that. So
this was Pokemon. This was fitness Pokemon Go.
Yes.
Yeah. People were changing their proxy servers for their phones so that they could get in on the beta in the other tiny little countries, and artificially increasing that server load so that they could play. That's how popular it was going to be. So if they didn't know that going in, that it could have been a 50% of the country. if the entire world's worth of people who are trying to play it are going into one country's servers worth of things, like if it's 500 times more than expected, you gotta get your servers together. You gotta fix them. You gotta get them up globally. It doesn't. They just weren't ready. It's not like they didn't have the money.
Oh no, it was not that. And what was the other point I was going to make about all this? Oh, their communication was just awful. They didn't say anything. They just kind of did stuff and just let people figure it out.
What do you mean?
Like when they took out the steps, they didn't say anything about that. When they launched,
updates just happened, and they didn't explain anything. They didn't explain really how to use the game.
Earlier on, they said that they were probably going to take it out when it was glitchy.
It was.
The first week it was fine, and then it was really glitchy. Like it was
it was really glitchy.
Worthless. And so when it was taken out,
it's probably got something to do with server load.
Could be. Whatever the case was, they said it was a problem, and then they early on they had some. It wasn't videos, but it was like a slideshow of things that they're going to do. They didn't. I think at the time they said they were going to put it back eventually, probably, maybe.
They did.
Which they should have.
They kind of did, but not really.
Also, the way the game launched is they didn't even set a date. Like the way people
it was just there.
Yeah, it was like, wait, what? Oh God!
Well, first
it's on the store.
First, it was in other countries, and people, with the ability to do so, changed their settings so that they could play in other countries, or get the app from other countries' stores. Then, then people just it came out one day.
Sigh.
Yeah, not great.
Speaking of server things, another game had some news involving servers.
Yeah.
Nick?
So, I'm assuming you're talking about Dragon Ball FighterZ.
What's that?
Jeez.
What's that? Yeah. So they were announcing that there would be a closed beta a while ago. I never heard any details about it, but they said that because there was such an interest, they were going to start closed betas signups July 26th. That's today. No, that's yesterday. Oh well, whatever. But they moved it back to August 22nd, and launched the beta on September 16th to 18th.
Which I'm completely okay with, because
that means
it shows that
better.
Yeah,
That's how you do it.
Remember Dragon Ball Xenoverse?
Yes, I do.
No, you don't, because we didn't play it because it wouldn't work.
I remember it not working.
Yes.
All weekend long. I think we were able to play one battle.
No, we weren't even able to get out of the freaking...
No, we were able to do the tutorial.
Yeah.
Which you needed to be online for, so we weren't able to finish the tutorial. Was that also Bamco?
Yes.
Bandai Namco? So that's probably a good sign that they're more worried about that, because this is getting a lot more attention than that did.
Than they expected. and they're showing.
Then they expected, yes.
And they're showing what you do when you have something like that. Mm-hmm. You say, okay, we're gonna slow it down, make sure we do it well, and not pull a Pokemon Go.
And speaking of Dragon Ball FighterZ, last week we were talking about the characters that they were going to reveal.
Yep, boy, were we wrong about Krillin.
We were wrong about Krillin.
But
we were right about Piccolo.
Yeah, of course. But they at least are making Krillin as more of a support fighter than, I can stand toe-to-toe with Frieza fighter.
Yeah.
So I can live with that.
Yeah, he just got the sensu beans.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
That is a cool thing.
I was thinking too linearly.
Yeah, one thing that is good about ArcSys, who's making the developer, is their characters tend to be like really different. It's not all just reskins of the same character, which is why it's a good thing that they're not doing every single character in all of Dragon Ball history. So yes, that's a good sign that it's Krillin, but he kind of sucks. Mm-hmm. But you can play as him if you're a really good player.
Well, he's a Blue Lantern.
A Blue Lantern?
Yeah.
What's that?
Green Lanterns were powerhouses. They can do a whole bunch of stuff.
Oh, I don't know
Blue
about
Lanterns, they give them power increases. So basically, you can get your powerhouse characters that you're really, really fluid with.
Wait, is this a like Green Lantern comic book thing or something else?
Possibly, but anyway,
whatever.
It's you get the characters that you're really good with. You give them extra life. It's just Krillin also can maybe get in a few hits probably.
He's got Destructo Disc, which is unblockable.
Oh, that's
and
nice.
And you can power it up.
Exactly, you can. So you get to strengthen up your characters, weaken theirs a little bit, and there you go. That's
Yeah,
that's kind of fun.
He's a buff and debuff character.
They're gonna have to really be careful to balance that, but I mean, that's cool.
Yes, and they're great at that.
They also announced that because of the delayed beta thing, they're gonna try and get more characters in.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
That was announced today.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm surprised I didn't see that.
The European Bandai Namco people said it, so maybe that's why.
Maybe we'll get to play
maybe.
Bulma.
Oh,
that's the one time that I don't want that. Like one punch and she's dead. Come on, let's.
But then you piss off Vegeta. You need to get Vegeta.
If she loses, and there's like a certain meter or like health left, then Vegeta comes in and does like a huge counterattack, and does like 75% damage or something. So like if you can survive as her long enough, then if you take the hit, like Vegeta comes in and just like obliterates. Wasn't that that would be cool?
Wasn't that like an Eevee Pokemon thing where you'd make it so that they would end up with 1 HP and then you switch the HP and do quick attacks?
False swipe.
Yeah, there we go. It's basically like that strategy.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah, find a way for her to just hang on by a skin of her teeth.
Speaking of Pokemon, again, lots of news from Pokemon this week. There's Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon.
I'm getting lazy with these names.
I don't know. Black 2 and White 2, I think, was pretty lazy.
Yeah, it was.
Ultra, okay.
That's what I used to call myself when I was a kid.
Ultra John?
Ultra Sun. And then I'd call my brother Black 2.
I don't even know what that means.
I didn't at the time either, but it sounded right.
Okay, so I don't know what these games are. They're just, I guess they're sequels?
Yeah, it's
like, just the same thing, but with a different story.
Yeah, it's the aftermath of Sun and Moon.
Okay, so you know about this?
Yeah, and nowadays, anytime we do a sequel, the sequel is just what happened after the events of the first game. Very little. Play it.
Yeah. So it looks like it's just the same.
It's got Pikachu. That's good.
Same. It's got Pikachu. Look, there's a picture here with tons of Pikachus.
That's all we care about.
There's a thing called Pikachu Island for all your Pikachu needs. Pikachu's in this game. Pikachu. In other news, Nintendo getting ahead of themselves again in the Nintendo
thank goodness.
business game. Have you guys heard of the miniature Super Nintendo?
I can see it on the screen.
Yes, you can see it on the screen.
Looks
have
expensive.
you have you heard of the miniature regular NES Nintendo?
I think I can see that on the screen
Well,
too.
you can see it, but do you know the deal? Okay, I'll start from the beginning for
Thank
people
you, Nick.
who have never heard. So last year they made a mini NES that came with like 50 games or something that are the classics for the NES, and you can plug in your Wii controllers or whatever, your modern Nintendo console controllers, and it came with a Nintendo shaped an NES shaped controller, and that was the deal. It was, remember Nintendo?
Yeah, I remember.
So, yeah. That came out. They didn't make anywhere near enough of them because they're Nintendo. And after 6 months of that being in production, they decided to not have it anymore. Maybe because they're Nintendo, or maybe because it was a complete failure since you could just emulate games. And they probably sold every game that it comes with on the virtual shop, so I don't know. But now they're coming out with the Super Nintendo miniature thing, which is basically the same thing, and will also fill.
Well, here's the thing.
It's coming out September 9th, and it's going...
So we know that it's...
it says here, they're going to run production through the end of 2017. So they're gonna have it out for 2 months.
Well, here's the thing. We know that the first one was a success because if it was a failure, they were not bothered with the second one.
You'd think so.
I also know so because, and this is going to be a shot towards a lot of people, all the people with nostalgia stuff, I would like you to please shut up. Because you are the cancer and the reason why we can't have nice things. Because you cannot move on from the games which, spoiler, were not that good to begin with.
Most of the games on the NES,
your Zeldas, your Marios, they are on the list as well.
There's like 4 or 5 games on the NES Classic that were good, and the rest are like Balloon Fight, which aren't they're not that great. But the Super NES one, that's going to be some good stuff. So
they can't move on because you people can't admit you're adults and want to keep going to your childhood. Stop it. I don't want to see this anymore. I want to see Nintendo make something that's not just, hey, here's another version of Mario. Hoo-hoo!
Well, you know what? Nintendo has a ton of good IPs that they're not using. They've made one Star Fox game in the last 10 years that isn't a remake. 15 years?
A long time.
It was a GameCube game. So, yeah, they have all these cool, ideas and stuff, but they're not... Half of them they don't even use. Star Fox just got new games. Metroid's getting 2 new games. That's great. But, they just, pour Mario into everything. And, okay, you got a Mario game about whatever. You made it. Good work. There's not a single genre that Mario hasn't had a game of. It's been done.
They're not even, getting better. I've played the Mario games, and just oh, look, it's the same game I've always played, just in a slightly different scenario.
Well, they do 2 things. They make new versions of, they try to make new things, and they make original Mario with new graphics and new level layouts.
Yeah, that's all. If they want to do something like, what was it, Hyrule Warriors?
New things.
Like with Hyrule, like that's fine because it's like an entirely new thing, using the IP in a new way.
It's just Dynasty Warriors. It's literally what you were talking about last week, where it's just copy paste Dynasty Warriors.
But at least it's using Zelda in a way that's not just, oh look, another Zelda game. It's something that's different, even if it's different in the way we've seen.
Yeah.
But they're not doing that.
They did do a new Zelda with the last one. It was completely different. It had voice acting, mostly. It was completely... They Skyrim'd it. That's what they did.
Why does everyone want to bang the fish?
Bang the... What?
There's a fish in there that everyone wants to bang.
Anyway, so the Super Nintendo thing is going to be produced through the end of 2017. I don't know why they do this. All their hardware is like they make this artificial scarcity so that everybody has to scalp it on eBay. Ugh. Guess what else just got a patent?
What's got a patent?
It's a Nintendo 64 Classic Edition. Oh, you didn't see it until I scrolled down, did you?
Make it stop.
Coming soon, GameCube Classic Edition.
Coming soon, Nintendo Switch Classic Edition.
Oh boy. And the other Classic Edition news, Atari, first of all, not Sony. Sega has one for Genesis, but that kind of looks better. I can't find the article for it. Whatever. It's coming. Believe it. And Atari has one, but it's kind of weird. It's comes with Atari games, but it also has 4 USB ports, an SD card, and Ethernet, which makes no sense because, why?
It also looks like it comes out of Tron.
It does.
Tron.
Which is kind of fitting for its era. So they say it will play classic, quote, as well as current, quote, and will come with modern internal specs, quote, quote. Who knows what that means? So they're like making like this weird mashup console. It just sounds like it's in an emulator box. I don't know. Maybe it's just a Raspberry Pi with some cool outsides.
I was thinking more like, that remake of that one song from Lazy Town with Lil Jon.
Yeah, it's a mashup.
It's got exactly. It's got
really
just like
weird
a
mashup.
What? No, they can't be lazy.
If I ever get a chance to be able to go to an elementary school and play music for them, that's exactly what I'm gonna play.
You're not allowed within 2 miles of schools, right? Shh. Oh, sorry. I wasn't supposed to say that? Oh. There may be kids listening, so, but we won't
Hey,
bring that
kids,
up
I have ice cream. My address is...
Anyway,
Ooh.
Yakuza Kiwami is a
Bless you.
remake... what?
Bless you.
What?
I thought you sneezed.
No, I didn't. I said Kiwami.
Bless you.
What? Anyway, it's a remake of the first Yakuza game, and I am a huge fan of the Yakuza series.
Yes, the Yakuza have been very kind to us. We cannot say...
We love Yakuza.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we were only able to do this podcast because of the Yakuza.
I miss my pinky.
I miss my pinky, too. Anyway,
Thanks for taking one for the team, by the way, guys.
Give him back the fish!
how come you got 2 pinkies?
Because you guys took one for the team.
Anyway,
You can just see it now. He cuts off Nick's finger, and John just goes, I bet you won't do it again.
Did you repress that, or are you?
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, Yakuza.
You can put it on the calendar. I was wrong.
Yakuza Kiwami. They've been putting out some new trailers. It's coming out for PS4. It's a unfaithful remake, in that it's
Polygamous?
it's no, it's based on the original first one, but they've added a lot of stuff and changed some things and kind of retconned a bit, so that Yakuza 0, the prequel, makes more sense.
So it's like the Mormon Church.
A bit, I guess, but in reverse, because that was after.
Speaking of which, Mormon Church, if you want to convert more people, you should get into anime. Just explain to them, with Mormonism, you can have many waifus.
Oh my god.
Didn't we talk about multiple waifus last week?
No, we talked about the utility of adding in what species your waifu is.
The point is, when it comes to anime, I am a Mormon.
I think we talked about polygamy waifus. Maybe that was a different conversation, but okay, anyway. Yeah. Hyped for Yakuza anything. Yakuza 6 is also coming out next year, so that's fun. And guess what? More Ghostbusters movies.
Oh, wow. Gee, the last one had such a success.
So the first line in this article is, last year's reboot of the comedy classic Ghostbusters wasn't the success that many expected it to be, and were very unlikely to see a direct sequel.
Holding my tongue.
Yeah, I know what your thoughts on that are. But they are making animated movies, it seems, and comic books. One possibility is that the next film could focus on the ghosts themselves, which I guess is interesting, but I don't know.
There was something done a while back where they had a movie marquee that said what was playing in like 92.
Yeah, I saw
and then
that.
2016, and it was just like, it's the same movies.
It was Ghostbusters, It, and...
No, it wasn't It, because it was movies that like Power Rangers. It was Power Rangers, Ghostbusters, and was it Star Wars?
Remake.
I think it was Star Wars.
Star Wars. It's just like, pick your remake. It's just my childhood was a wonderful place, but it sort of belongs there.
Yeah, it's the same thing like with the video games. Stop it.
Yeah, there's a theme of today.
What about the video games?
No, it's the same thing like the video games. Like
consoles?
Yeah, like, you're not a child anymore, guys. Let's move on to other things. I'm sick of going back to the past and looking at things again. How many Spider-Mans do we need?
All of them?
By the way, I haven't seen the new Spider-Man, but it actually looks like they are doing Spider-Man differently and in many ways better.
I don't care anymore.
Well, then don't go to the movie.
I stopped caring about superhero movies back in like 2006.
Well, then you missed the golden
years. Oh my god, that was over a decade
this
ago.
This does appear to be the time to care.
Yeah. By the way, for anybody out there who likes superhero movies, you're in decent company. Wolverine and, yeah, it even goes so far as to say Wonder Woman were both worth a watch.
You mean Logan?
Logan, yes. Logan was fantastic. Tons of really old mythologies built into a contemporary story that has relevance. Fantastically written and directed. Go if you're ready for the feels. Wonder Woman, visually stunning. Also some old stories, but for those of you that don't care about like mythologies and things, it'll be better off for you. If you have any sort of study in mythologies, just brace yourselves. They aren't really loyal to the origins of the stories in a lot of ways. So, but they're both really well done.
Just as a kind of semi shout out, if you have PlayStation Plus, The first week of August, you can rent Logan for $1.
Worth every cent, and at least three more.
I plan on doing so. So, this is my way of making myself remember.
Speaking of sales in August, this August will be the 2-year anniversary for the Dragon's Treasure, a haven for anime and tea lovers. Shameless plug. If you want to see what type of awesome deals we have, go to our Facebook page and check it out. We got deals on the entire store, buy some get X free, and later on, there'll be two nice giant grand prizes which you can win. Go and check it out.
Ooh, I'm gonna win it first.
9.
Don't you get like an exception for being an employee or something?
No.
You're not allowed to win. No winning for you. No.
I quit.
You quit.
And the only way you can win is through the Facebook page, so go and like that guy.
Like the Facebook page.
Did you just assume your Facebook... Never mind.
Facebook.com/The Dragon's Treasure.
And I don't have anything to shamelessly plug, but I will be playing that game that I was talking about earlier that makes no sense at all, and everyone loses the plot, including the plot. But that'll be up probably sometime mid-August, so wait for that. And with that, we'll talk about all the things we didn't talk about in the second infusion. So, My Hero Academia,
Game of
Thrones, and
Super.
Fate whatever, and Dragon Ball Super, of course, which barely got a mention somehow.
Because I've been holding back.
We've actively been trying to not say anything.
Alright, we'll see you there. And as always, you can send us an email at teacast@thedragonstreasure.com.